Hello, I'm Amy from moonmindology.com, and today I want to look at the chart of Justin Trudeau. He's the Prime Minister of Canada, and he's also the son of Pierre Trudeau, who was the Prime Minister when Justin was born. And Justin was actually born inside the official home of the Prime Minister, 24 Sussex Drive. So let's have a look at his chart. First off, he has a Leo ascendant, and his first ruler is in the 5th house, which makes someone very creative and interested in self-expression. He'll be good at speculating, gambling, and this is a sure sign of somebody who can perform well in politics. Well, do well in politics. Not sure how good he is, but he's certainly benefiting from politics. The sun in the 5th gives his great creativity and the ability to do well in politics all by itself, and this is also a very good sign of a leadership position. But as this is the 5th, his firstborn son could also be a leader. Rahu's in the 6th house, which is all about obsession, so there can be obsessive thoughts around food, diet and consumption, and this is really great for excelling in the workplace, and especially in service. So there can be work with foreigners and an ability to defeat his competitors. Venus is in the 6th, and this is great for career, and it can really make somebody interested in glamour and fine things as well as detail work. And Venus is afflicted there, and so there can be a weakness with the thyroid, the kidneys, the reproductive system, that kind of thing. There also can be hormone problems as well, but it could also give somebody a sweet tooth in the 6th house. Ruler of the 3rd and the 10th in the 6th. So there can be problems with siblings, and education can be quite difficult. Diet and nutrition are very important to him, and wealth can require a lot of hard work to attain. Venus conjunct Rahu, and this tells me that he can be attracted to foreigners and people who are from a different background to himself. It can also be a sure sign that he can be attracted to women who are very successful and larger than life. So he's very interested in serving others in office. There's a Parivartana yoga with Venus and Saturn, and that can connect service and his greater career. And he is made to fight and compete as part of his everyday activity and to serve the greater community in politics. Whether or not you think he's any good at it, that's what he is there to do. That's what he wants to do. He wants to serve. So Saturn in the 10th, that is a flat out obvious sign he was always going to work in some kind of service or maybe even a government job, and look where he is. So he's serious, hard-working, and this is great for leadership, although in some cases it can delay leadership somewhat because there can be a sense of insecurity about it as well, because Saturn is very serious. It makes you overcomplicate, compensate, contemplate and think about what you're doing and really sort of over-assess whether you are ready for the responsibility. Serious thinkers. But his father, he would have been strict and he could have been over the top. So it's also great for organisation, but there is some poor luck in career, and we do see, even though he obviously does well for himself in politics, he is constantly being disliked by the people. But I suppose that does come with the territory of being a prime minister. But I think he does have a difficult time, and he does have a lot of scandal. So Saturn retrograde can create problems with boundaries that impacts his life purpose. So I wouldn't be surprised if he maybe dreamed of being something else career-wise, and he was perhaps groomed by his father, who may have been somewhat oppressive. And he can have problems with other people in authority, and especially those who are older than him, which is pretty much everyone in politics. He often does get treated like a child. I've seen sort of like little clips of him. Other leaders, for the most part, don't seem to take him very seriously, but he is the leader of Canada. The ruler of the 6th and the 7th is in the 10th, and this is good for politics, another political sign. The partner can be met through the career, which I don't think was the case with his first wife anyway. I wouldn't be surprised if his ex-wife was involved in his premiership though, and helped him maybe with certain things or get somewhere with it. They have broken up now, so I am curious how this is going to play out going forward. The 10th Lord is conjunct Rahu as well, which may have been a contributing factor to his fame in later life. So we've got K2 in the 12th, and this can make someone quite spiritual and psychic. But there is an emptiness that can make people search for answers. So it can also be an interest in culture, foreign travel, and even history. So you may even be prone to extreme diets or unforeseen debt and expenses. Pluto in the 2nd, it's all about power. And it's not great for his early childhood, and this is a sign of a controlling parent. And as his father was a politician, perhaps he was almost groomed into this role from a young age. And when people don't have free agent and the power that they require, it does often manifest as somebody who overcompensates for their perceived flaws. It could also be an obsession with money and a power as it becomes a way of life. And it can also be an obsession with what goes in the mouth. So this can be another sign of eating disorders, which is, again, supported by other planets. Uranus in the 2nd, this is change and unexpected events during early childhood, and this can really mess with somebody's sense of security. And I would expect him to have a few unconventional money sources as well with this. Neptune in the 4th, all kinds of scandal regarding his mother and his property. So sometimes there could be a miscommunication with his mother, or she may have had problems with addiction. There could also be confusion with the property or just odd things that occur in the home. Sort of like, you know, gas leaks and even as far as hauntings. Jupiter's in the 4th as well, and this is good for happiness and contentment. Religion, philosophy all fall under this, so it can be important to him, and there's a lot of travel, and you know, this is international travel, so this would have been important to his mother, I would say. Seeing as Jupiter is the planet of opportunity and it aspects the 10th, well, that can give fame and renown. And he has had that, ironically, his whole life, because he was the son of a prime minister. Mercury in the 4th, good education, and his mother may have worked in communications herself. This is another sign of travel, and there is an aptitude for business. Jupiter and Mercury, conjunct. These people talk too much, but is good for intelligence and learning. So it'll be a listener, positive, upbeat, as well as having an avid interest in politics and law. So these two planets actually clash. So his childhood would have been problematic, and there can be a conflict between rationality and idealism. So the ruler of the 2nd, the 5th and the 11th is in the 4th. And this gives wealth from real estate and also his mother. And there can be really good education as well as degrees. And I'm pretty sure he does have a degree in something or other. His mother would have been problematic, however. So there is a sense of security that is poor, and his mother would probably have been emotionally neglectful in some way. There's a Parivartana between Mars and Jupiter, and this really brings a positive fusion between these two planets. However, Jupiter uplifts the 8th, but Mars does not afflict the 4th, which means that as much as there are problematic signs, there are positive signs with his mother, and I am pretty sure it's the general consensus he got on well with his mother, but I guarantee you that wasn't always the case, and the relationship was probably very complex. But this is also good for a career in banking and Justin's ability to be charming. You've got to be charming to be able to weasel your way into high up in politics. And of course, when this young guy got into office and some people remembered his birth, people thought he was charming. People liked him. I remember, people saying, oh, Justin Trudeau, he's really hot. So, he does have a charm to him. He's not an unattractive guy by any means. And this is 8th house. So Mars in the 8th, This is Kuda dosha and can create problems with marriage. So there's a possibility of accidents as well. So there can be a bit of a temper, and there can also be problems with his siblings. I think he is the only child of both his mother and father, although both of them have other children. So he has step siblings. The moon in 8th. He can be very sensitive, and because of the affliction to the moon, there can be anger, and he will do well out of inheritances, but also divorces. Again, this is a difficult placement for his mother, and there would have been some kind of hardship for her. And as his moon is at 23 degrees of Pisces, he will be impacted by the incoming eclipse in April 2024, and this could bring endings and emotional vulnerability. And as it's in the 8th, there can also be problems with scandal. So direct aspect from Jupiter to the moon in his natal chart, that does improve the mind and the relationship with the mother. And without this aspect, there could have been some mental problems as well. But with this uplifting aspect, he is mentally well, and he has a sense of hope. There's a Chandra Mangala yoga, and this is a great sign that there is a large amount of money in his life. And this can also be a great talent in life that pushes through to create fame and renown. Very often, people with this configuration start life with a great talent, and later on, you know, they get somewhere with that talent, and then they get as high as they think they can, and then they change their path. So regardless of what they sent their mind to, they have obsessive ideals, and this obsession and passion can really make them stand out in a crowd. On the flip side, this can create a lot of tension and problems with the mother figure. So on the subject of somebody who started off their life with one talent that they really pushed hard through, and then they flipped, with this same configuration is Volodymyr Zelensky, the leader of Ukraine, and I have done a video on him which you can check out as well. So Justin Trudeau's moon is in Revati, so he is all about travelling. I think I read somewhere that his childhood was just full of it, and I would say he loves animals as well. He's probably got tons of pets, and he loves to serve as well. And at a party, he would probably be the one serving drinks and trying to get everybody to enjoy themselves, because he's got that service mentality. The ruler of the 4th, 9th and 12th is in the 8th, and there can be problems with his mother, and she may have a lot of anguish and upset in her life, and there can be a constant feeling that his security is compromised. His father may have had a difficult life too, and there can be secrets and scandals that may have affected Justin in his early life to do with his parents. And of course they did have a divorce, and it was, I think, I can't remember whether they stayed friends or whether it was quite nasty, but there would have been some kind of scandal about it. But his father was a womanizer, so, you know, that's not really gonna go down great. But he can make money through his father, and of course he would have inherited a lot of wealth from him as well. There can be problems with luck, as well as a difficulty with teachers, but money can come through divorce and, you know, through loss in general. The moon is in a mutual aspect with Uranus, and this is another sign that there's problems with his mother, and she was emotionally distant from him, and there could have been a lot of upheaval and stress during his childhood as well. However, on a personal level, he will be interesting, but he can struggle to adapt to the environment and his social surroundings. He's also got Mars and Pluto in a mutual aspect, which is really over the top and very powerful. And he will have a unbreakable will and a lot of personal power, but sometimes it can just be too much, and it can be too over the tops, and it can be seen as quite a violent configuration. So, dashas or life cycles. Justin is currently in the Mars cycle, and he went into it in November 2022. This is going to be highlighting the 8th house and Moon and Pluto especially. So despite the fact the Freedom Convoy was before this cycle began, I believe that this was a potential sign of what was to come. And the Moon rules the 12th house of foreign lands, and it's also an argumentative conjunction, and there could be problems with distant lands as well. Also, Pluto is involved, so there could be some controlling behaviours from Justin that impacts the people or brings him more scandal. And there can also be something to do with finances and banking in Canada. And on a personal level, he is just separated from his wife, which is often signified by the 8th house. If you want to see Justin's transits for the year, which can also affect Canada as a whole, please go to moonmindology.com, and my blog will detail all of this information. But thank you very much for watching today. I hope you enjoyed my reading. If you like it, subscribe, press the like button, leave me a comment. Thank you very much, and I'll see you next week. Thanks. Bye.